Happy Earthspin! Welcome to another show. Greetings to everybody whoever's watching, who's still watching this series of videos about natural time from a variety of different viewpoints and angles, yes. Many different angles have been covered. Today, we've now reached the alchemy codes. So we are now, it's day 2 of the alchemy codes, and I was showing this one before. We've got the different levels. So we've been through the cube and the Icosa and the Merkaba, and now we're here. Yeah. At the level of the octahedron. So what's going to happen now? Well, we've reached the alchemy codes, and the alchemy codes start to really bring things together. Take the previous sections and these different angles we've been looking at things, and then bring these angles together and further show how the climate records match up with natural cycles. It's quite a fascinating thing, really, all these different levels. How they all interact with each other as well, because it is a holistic system. I showed this one when we were doing the egg-shaped lunar and earth sections. So we don't live in a clock. Just going to repeat that for the record. We do not live in a clock. Now today's Galactic Arkana number 15, and in the traditional tarot they associate with, the devil. Yeah, and that's the part of the problem here, is calling these unknown things the devil, not teaching about what consent means. You know, a civilization that thinks it has choice, but has choices on many levels, and on other levels doesn't. So, let's just clear it up right now, okay? It's not the devil. It's Pan. Okay? Yeah? It's Pan. Yeah. Nature. Natural cycles. The horned god. Yes, the horned god. All these symbols match up. The symbology of it all matches up on multiple levels. If you look into any of the cards and any of the arcana I've been sharing, and the math and the numbers associated with them, you'll see what I mean. That's how all of this came about. Okay? So, today is also a very special day for me, because we are now on day number 41, and this is card number 28, Alchemy 2. As above, so below. End in the beginning. The alchemy of sun and moon. Usually I like to turn this image on its side. So here it is. Here it is. So for you can see the sun and the moon. left and right. So left is sun, Ra, logic, and on the right is moon, Ah, intuition. Between them, the patterns of circles within circles, part of the original image on the front page of infinitycodes.net with the owl. This time period was identified during completion of my third book, see Galactic Arkana number 15. In mathematical terms, it's 8 times the tidal frequency. And the tidal frequency is what we mentioned in Galactic Arkana number 9. And that was this formula. So this formula, which roughly rounds to 9 years, is a factor in today's calculations. Because it's 8 of those together. I mentioned before about how the owl used to visit me when I used to do specific calculations and when I was finding numbers that I had not found before and things were connecting up. The owl would appear. Flap, 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 flap. Numbers! Numbers, geometries, calculations, precision. Yeah. Well, it's not a devil's pan, and the distinction between those is understanding consent. Because if you're given a choice, then you can choose yes or no. Now, if they keep all these climate records secret and they don't actually show how they're actually a reoccurring pattern that has a geometric base, an organic fluctuation, which is to say, it's not a clock. There's an aspect of it to do with precision, but that's organic, geometric precision. It only can occur when you have both. Okay? It's important to be clear. So it's now 11 years since infinitycodes.net went online and all of this started to occur. In more and more greater levels of cosmic understanding. I mentioned the 11-year cycle before in Galactic Arkana number 11, which is this one, just to do a bit of recapping. The sunspot cycles. So essentially it's been a sunspot cycle since this project took off. The Infinity Codes project took off. Which is now, there's the 19,000 Year Peace book, which is this one. And there's also this one here, which is the second book. And the third book is essentially, the Galactic Arkanas in greater and greater detail. And how they all align, and how the angles and precision of the calculations actually matters. Funnily enough. So, what we're talking about today, basically, is a phenomena in nature to do with climate. And what occurs when there's a warming and cooling, and what are termed in presentations I've watched twin peaks, so 2 horns Yeah, Twin Peaks. And I have to mention again, you know, some of these climate graphs, they look like they've been fudged. If you look online and you look at both sides of the debate and the reasoning behind the different sides of the debate, and you actually look at these graphs from multiple sources, did you know that there was a cold wave in the 1970s? Are you aware that the 1930s were as warm as they are today? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Some of these graphs have been flattened to take this sort of feature out. And, yeah. Not sure if it's a very good idea to lie about the climate and for there to be this continued two-siding, both sides not really coming up with the goods. Luckily we have infinity codes. Yeah, actually, we are. Because you see these Twin Peaks, that's not the devil, that's Pan. That's nature fluctuating. And where is the temperature graph? Here we go. Here's a temperature graph. Right? Now, warmer, cooler, warmer again. Yeah? Cooler again, warmer, cooler, warm again. Now, this period here, from warm to warm, is about 70 years. As you can see, there's like a double peak. Yeah? Double peak. Now, if you look at the maths of that, what you find is this. Now, I've started to draw these graphs now on two levels so you can see it both as a mandala and also as a graph. Now, this graph connects with that previous climate map. This is it as a mandala, as a cycle, which can be calculated using increments of the tidal pattern, matching up with the calculations of the ancient Mayans. And it just so happens it creates this 5-pointed mandala, Twin Peaks. What does that look like? Is this ringing any bells? Well, it just so happens that all these mathematical calculations actually add up. And they make sense out of the climate records, because we're actually at the end of a warming period right now. Yeah. So it's not actually surprising that this has happened. And we're up here and we had some of the warmest years. But we also had this cold period. Now, in all of the calculations, and from what I heard, it was all about global warming, always. So what about the global cooling part? That's not something they usually talk about. So as you can see, the generalized monopoly on what's going on in the climate, it's on shaky ground. Yeah, it's on shaky ground. Well, the maths adds up, and it connects to the wisdom of the ancestors. And it means that this is over. Yeah, the lies. Yeah, over. Well, that's the point, isn't it? Something that's hidden eventually comes to light. And so it can no longer be hidden anymore. Only now it's not just that, but it matches with the calculations of the ancestors on multiple levels across the planet. Which is what this is. So, today, we're talking about the devil's horns. Oh, sorry, no. That's Pan. That's nature fluctuating. Yeah, all the time, yeah. Even with humans and industrial revolutions, and yes, we may well have affected it, but we don't control it. We don't drive the climate. No, 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 no. Humans. How high is it that you have to get in an aeroplane before humans look like ants? Okay, would someone kindly give me a approximate amount of feet? Yeah, is it 100, 1,000 feet maybe? I've seen it happen as the plane takes off. So it can't be very high. Now, if you think about that really deeply, you'll start to recognize just how big the planet that we live on actually is. Now, this here has these 8 mini fluctuations within the greater fluctuation, which just so happens to match the numbers of the tidal frequency times 8. Now, I've mentioned before, the oceans are 2/3 of the surface. Could well be that the oceans are one of the main drivers of the climate. Real drivers of the climate. Because this tidal frequency comes back in another episode in the Alchemy section later on. And it's another frequency of this 8.864, which connects into this graphic. Because it's essentially 8 times 864, which is basically the circles win circles win circles win circles. Do you see what I mean? I actually drew this graphic 11 years ago, and now it all makes sense because I followed my intuition. And this graphic itself actually talks about logic and intuition. And I'm a lunatic for plotting graphs over thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Really? Well, that's the start of the synchronicities. Today is also the anniversary of the day I changed my name. Yeah? Where the Ra-Ah comes from. It just happens to fall on this day, which is the specific card, which I speak about, Ra and Ah. And today, in the dream spell calendar, is the day Yellow Lunar Seed, and that was the day I officially changed my name, in 2001. Okay? Now, I started this sequence on the organic spring equinox here in Edinburgh. I didn't know how it was all going to play out over the next 80 days. But here's another example of a synchronicity that I couldn't have planned. Okay? I couldn't have planned that. There's already been a few of them. But this one's actually even specifically connected to my own intuitive process of what I am embodying with this Infinity Codes project. Okay? And it's 2 seed, and we're talking about the Twin Peaks today. What are commonly called the Devil's Horns. But it's not the devil once you know what's actually going on. So, after there's a Twin Peaks, it then gets colder again. Now, we've just had the Twin Peaks. Yeah, in the last couple decades. Yeah. So, what do you reckon's going to happen next? Well, there's a lot of reports going on about some pretty crazy changes. Now, this is just one cycle. Now, multiple cycles together, you may get extra effects. Yeah, 400-year cycles, 1,000-year cycles. Yeah, cosmic level cycles. Now, how long is the Industrial Revolution? Yeah, factor that in. Yeah, rising and falling of empires. We'll get back to that again in later episodes. Yeah. Well, to really accurately map the timelines and to truly understand nature, you kind of need to use nature's metrics, which is the whole point. Natural time. To actually live in the reality that we actually live in. Yeah. So that's why consent's part of it, because we have a choice about that. Is that a feature of the global European Gregorian calendar project of land theft and cultural theft? Did you have a choice in being part of that? Well, we're getting a choice now. I've got this project called Infinity Codes here. All the maths adds up. Over thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Here's another, this is a sketch. When I was going through some of the sketches before. Here's another one. So, all the maths adds up. Okay? And it matches the climate records. This matches ancient wisdom. Okay? You've got warming and cooling and warming. And probably, most likely, cooling again. Which is a fractal of that calculation, which I mentioned on the lunar section, which is the tides. And that's that graphic again. So it's like the card says, it's end in the beginning. Because this was one of the last pieces. Yeah, I was going through the deck of cards and I was seeing how the Galactic Arcana resonate, these 22 resonate with the almost 80 cards that I'd put together as the Oracle of Ra. I'd also called it the Galactic Tarot though, because it has 78 cards. So I was finding the resonances between these cycles and the 78 cards. And it was actually looking through them that helped me find one of these last pieces and how it fits with the fractals of nature that we live inside of. And nature just happens to be much bigger than us. All of humans together. Oh yeah, we've definitely messed things up. For sure. Yeah, absolutely. We've definitely upset the natural order of things. We still don't drive the climate. No. Humans. Wow. It's quite a simple process, really. It's just don't be egotistical as a planet and recognize where you've made big mistakes. And then actually try and, regenerate the native woodlands. Yeah. That'd be nice. Well, natural time has a lot of wisdom to share on multiple levels. It's not something I can, somehow bestow on you in a single instant. It's a body of work. This is a great work. Okay? I will keep trying to do these presentations shorter and shorter periods, and I will make an edited form where it's just essentially the key bits of information sampled together really quickly. But right now, I'm going through the process of actually sharing everything I've experienced in this entire lifetime of work, going back to my near-death experience. So it's pretty profound, really. And then, yeah, today's the anniversary of me changing my name. Yeah. So, got a new friend now who's got a wee present for us. Okay? What's that? Is it for me? Really? Oh. Ah, look, it's an octahedron. Thanks very much. Oh. Yeah. Thank you. This is an octahedron. You see this? Octahedron. It's just a pyramid on top of a pyramid. So, one pyramid and then another pyramid. This is an organic crystal that forms in this shape. Fluorite, potentially this is a piece of fluorite. So this is the geometry for the alchemy codes. Yeah, I may well be nuts, but I'm not as nuts as nuts. Nuts. So, happy name-changing galactic birthday to me. And I hope somehow this math adds up to making sense out of the universe we live in. It's worth doing all the calculations yourself to really see how it all fits together. Yeah, just to be sure we've absolutely got the point across. So this period from here to here is about 71 years recurring, and it goes from warm to cool to warm again. And that's the point between Twin Peaks, because they occur in Twin Peaks, and then the time between it dipping and returning to the Twin Peaks again, which is roughly 71 years. And it matches the climate records, and it's a multiple of the tidal frequency, and it also is a multiple of the Mayan cycles. And the only difference there is 20 days. That's the difference between the two calculations, ancient and modern. Matching up again, which is the heart of all of this work, actually, to honour the ancestors. But we are also the ancestors, and there's a lot of great work we've done as modern humans. Amidst all the craziness, yeah. So, the alchemy, the alchemy of nature coming together with respect to the ancestors throughout time, in honor of the ancestors and respecting nature and learning from nature too. Thank you so much, nature. I had no idea how long this process would take, but I made it. And this is just the beginning, end of the beginning, beginning of the end. Infinity codes. Blessed be everyone. We'll be back soon with more videos, going through the rest of this Galactic Tower process. May peace prevail. May the truth of the natural cycles that we live in help us to make sense out of our fluctuating world, so we can learn what is the truth of these cycles and why they matter. As a friend recently sent me a message. He said, patterns matter. Patterns matter. Take care, everyone.